It happens every morning, and it frightens you, even if you would never admit it out loud. You open your eyes, you swing your legs to the edge of the bed, you take that first breath of the day, and before you have even stood up, something thick and stubborn is sitting in the back of your throat. It feels like a wet rope. It feels heavy. Clear your throat once, clear it again, maybe a third time, and for a moment that deep, tightening panic rises in your chest, the same panic that whispers a terrifying question you do not want to answer. What if today is the day it does not clear? What if today is the day you choke? What if today is the day you are rushed to the emergency room, and the next chapter of your life is decided for you by a surgeon you have never met, in a corridor that smells like antiseptic and regret? I want you to hear me clearly. That moment of fear is not weakness. It is your body sending you a message. And over the next few minutes, I am going to help you decode that message, because the truth is this: the thick, daily mucus clogging your throat is not random. It is not just aging. It is a signal, a warning light on the dashboard of your body, and it is pointing toward a handful of foods that you have likely been told are healthy, foods that you have been eating faithfully for decades, foods that are quietly turning your throat into a damp, congested trap. And once you understand the simple science of why this happens, you will never look at your breakfast table the same way again. By the time we finish here, you will have a 3-step morning blueprint, plus a secret 4th step I will keep until the end, that together can restore the clear, calm, dignified breathing you deserve. When we reach that 4th piece of the puzzle, you will see why thousands of seniors just like you have joined our community by subscribing, so they never miss these weekly blueprints that keep them out of hospital beds and in their own homes. Let us begin with the crisis. Let us begin with what mucus actually is, because most people see mucus as the enemy. It is not. Mucus is your body's loyal security guard. Imagine your throat as a quiet hallway in a fine old house. The walls of that hallway are lined with millions of tiny, delicate cells, and each one of those cells acts like a security guard standing beside a velvet rope. Their job is to trap dust, bacteria, viruses, and irritants before they reach your lungs. To do that job properly, they produce a thin, slippery gel, a coating that catches the bad guys and sweeps them out before they can do harm. This is healthy mucus. It is thin, mostly invisible, and you swallow it without thinking. That is the goal. That is the design. Now let us walk through the front door of what happens when the system breaks down. As we cross into our 60s and 70s, the cells that line that hallway slow their production of water. They become a little dehydrated. The gel they produce thickens. It goes from being a thin, slippery film to being a heavy, sticky paste. Add to that the natural reduction in the tiny hair-like cilia, those microscopic brooms that sweep the hallway clean, and you have a recipe for a traffic jam. The debris gets stuck. The paste gets thicker. The security guards are still trying to do their job, but they are doing it with broken brooms and dried-out paint. This is the moment, right in the middle of the night while you sleep, when that thick, stubborn mass collects at the back of your throat. This is the moment you wake up afraid. But this is only half the story, because if aging alone were the cause, every senior on Earth would have the same problem. They do not. And that means there is a hidden cause. There is something in your daily routine that is feeding this problem, and the most likely suspects are sitting in your refrigerator right now. Let me ask you a careful question. When you sit down to breakfast, what do you reach for first? Is it a warm bowl of oatmeal with a generous pour of milk? Is it a daily yogurt you were told would protect your bones? Is it a slice of cheese on your toast? Is it that evening glass of milk you have treated as a sleep aid for the last 30 years? If any of those answers made you nod, I need you to lean in. This is the part of the conversation that matters most. When you understand how dairy interacts with the lining of your throat, you will see why avoiding a few hidden ingredients can change how your mornings feel forever. Dairy, in certain forms, does something peculiar inside the hallways of your body. It contains a protein called casein. In a young digestive system, casein breaks down cleanly, almost like cracking an egg and watching the yolk slide out smooth and easy. In an aging digestive system, that same casein behaves differently. It clumps, it becomes sticky, and as it passes through the lining of your stomach and the lining of your esophagus, it leaves behind a thin, tacky residue that your mucus-producing cells interpret as a threat. They respond by producing more mucus. They thicken the gel. They send reinforcements to the hallway. And now, instead of one thin coat of protection, you have 5 coats, and your throat feels like it is lined with wet cement. This is not a theory I invented in a quiet office. This is the simple science of how a slower digestive system interacts with a heavy protein. Our bodies change as we cross into our 60s. Our stomach acid becomes less aggressive. Our enzymes become less efficient. The plumbing, if we picture the colon as the plumbing of an old house, has narrower pipes and slower flow. So foods that once slid through cleanly now linger. And as they linger, they trigger reactions we were never designed to have at this stage of life. Now I have to share the dangerous mistake, because this is the part where well-meaning doctors and well-meaning family members have been giving the wrong advice for decades. The mistake is this: when the mucus shows up, the natural response is to reach for an over-the-counter expectorant, or worse, an over-the-counter antihistamine. Day after day, month after month, year after year. The box says it will dry up your mucus. The advertisement shows a smiling senior breathing freely again, and for a few hours, it appears to work. The throat feels clearer. You stop clearing your throat in public. You feel briefly that the problem has been solved. But let me explain what is happening inside that hallway. When you take a drying medication, you are not fixing the security system. You are silencing the guards. You are drying out the very gel they need to do their jobs. You are telling those hardworking cells to stop producing the protective coating, but you are not removing the irritant that caused them to ramp up production in the first place. So a few hours later, when the medication wears off, the body panics. It produces thicker, stickier mucus than ever before. You take another pill. The cycle continues. You are not treating the cause, you are dampening the alarm while the house is still on fire. And there is something even more dangerous that I must address directly. Some of you, in your quiet, private moments of desperation, have considered taking muscle relaxants or nerve-calming medications that were prescribed for entirely different reasons, hoping they might slow the spasms in your throat. I understand the temptation, I understand the fear, but I am asking you, as a professional who has watched this pattern unfold for 2 decades, do not repurpose a medication without your doctor's voice in the room. There is a better path, and it begins tomorrow morning. Let us now move into the step-by-step home solution, and I want you to picture this as a calm, steady morning, not a rushed scramble. The first step is what I call the warm water flush. Before your feet touch the floor, before you brush your teeth, before you put on your slippers, walk to the kitchen and drink 1 full glass of warm water, not hot, not cold, warm. The temperature should be comfortable enough that you could sip it slowly like a thin tea. As the water passes down your throat, it does something remarkable. It loosens the thick paste that has been clinging to the walls of your hallway all night. It rehydrates the cells. It coaxes the cilia, those tiny brooms, back into motion. For many of you, within minutes of finishing that glass, you will feel a thin trickle of loosened mucus slide down naturally, gently, without effort, without panic. You will not need to strain. You will not need to cough. It will simply move. This is your body remembering how to heal itself. This is what we mean when we say restoring function rather than suppressing symptoms. The second step is the most emotionally freeing, because it is the moment you take back control of your kitchen. For the next 14 days, I want you to eliminate 4 specific foods from your daily routine. They are whole milk because of that sticky casein we discussed. They are soft cheeses, including the cream cheese on your morning bagel and the processed cheese slices in your sandwich at lunch. They are flavored yogurt, the kind with sugar and fruit on the bottom, because the dairy base still triggers the same thick response. And they are ice cream, that quiet nightly companion that promises comfort but delivers congestion. You do not have to give these foods up forever. You simply have to give your body a calm, uninterrupted window to rebuild its normal rhythm. After 14 days, you can reintroduce 1 food at a time and pay close attention. Notice how your throat feels the next morning. You, and only you, will become the scientist of your own body. That is the dignity I want for you. The third step is the breathing reset, and this one takes less than 4 minutes. Sit upright in a sturdy chair. Place 1 hand gently on your chest and the other on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your belly rise more than your chest. Hold for a count of 2. Then breathe out slowly through pursed lips for a count of 6. Repeat this cycle 10 times. I want you to understand what is happening inside your body as you do this. You are retraining the muscles around your airway. You are signaling to your nervous system that the hallway is safe. You are reducing the spasm that tightens your throat every time the mucus alarm rings. Over time, this reset becomes automatic. Your body will breathe more deeply, more calmly, and the mucus will thin in response, because calm breathing is the original medicine of every warm, well-loved house. When you understand how 3 small morning choices can transform the entire tone of your throat and your day, you will see why thousands of seniors just like you have joined our community by subscribing, so they can keep every future blueprint within easy reach and stay ahead of the small problems before they become big emergencies. Now we arrive at the secret 4th step, and I want to slow down here because this is the one I promised you at the beginning, and it is, in many ways, the most important one of all. The 4th step has nothing to do with food and nothing to do with medication. The 4th step is what I call the power of vertical position after dinner. Too many of us, out of habit, out of comfort, out of the simple pleasure of a long day finally being done, eat our evening meal and then lie down on the couch or recline in our favorite chair or head straight to bed within an hour of finishing dinner. And here is what happens in that quiet hour. The stomach is still working. The esophagus, which sits just behind the throat like a soft, slow drain pipe, is still pushing food downward. But when we lie flat, gravity stops helping. The stomach contents, mixed with the natural acid that breaks down our food, can creep upward, silently, into the lower part of the throat. And the cells of the throat, those loyal security guards, do not know the difference between an invading virus and a splash of stomach acid. They respond exactly the same way. They thicken the mucus. They rally the defenses. They call in the reinforcements. That is why so many of you wake up not just with thick mucus, but with a sour taste, a slight burning, a heaviness in the chest. That is acid reflux working the night shift. So the 4th step is simple. After your evening meal, stay upright for at least 2 full hours. Sit in your chair, read your book, watch your show, tidy the kitchen, call your grandchild. But do not lie down. Let gravity do its quiet, faithful work. If you must rest your body because of fatigue or arthritis, prop yourself up at an angle of at least 30 degrees, using pillows or a wedge. Angle matters more than comfort in this one case, and the results will speak for themselves within days. This is the hidden warning I promised you. This is the domino that tipped over everything else. And now that you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us now move into the long-term maintenance phase, because healing is not a single event. Healing is a rhythm. Healing is the quiet daily choice to treat your body as the house you intend to live in for many more years. The morning glass of warm water should become your opening ritual, the first conversation you have with yourself each day. The breathing reset should become your mid-morning pause, the 4 minutes you gift yourself between the newspaper and the first phone call. The avoidance of the 4 heavy mucus-triggering foods should become a thoughtful experiment, not a punishment, because the goal is not to feel deprived. The goal is to feel clear. The goal is to breathe easily in the company of others without clearing your throat. The goal is to sit through your granddaughter's recital without a single urgent, embarrassing cough. That is dignity. That is independence. That is the life we are protecting. I also want to address the deeper fear that lives underneath this conversation, the fear that too many of us carry but rarely speak about, the fear of becoming a burden, the fear of being the one who needs help, who needs to be checked on, who can no longer manage the simple private acts of daily life on our own. When mucus clogs your throat every morning, when the panic rises, when you cannot clear it no matter how hard you try, that fear tightens its grip. You begin to imagine the worst-case scenarios: the ambulance, the hospital gown, the hallway, the question, asked gently by a stranger, about whether you still live alone. I want you to know that every blueprint I share with you is designed, in some quiet, determined way, to push that future further away. We are not just clearing mucus. We are clearing the path that lets you stay home. We are keeping the bedroom door yours. We are keeping the kitchen yours. We are keeping the morning walk yours. That is what the CEO of their own health looks like, and that is the role I am inviting you into. Now, as we come to the close of this blueprint, let me summarize what we have built together, not as a list, but as a single flowing promise. We have learned that mucus is not the enemy, but a loyal guard, and that aging alone is not the cause of your symptoms. We have learned that a thick, sticky protein called casein, hiding inside everyday dairy products, is one of the quietest culprits in your kitchen. We have learned that drying medications silence the alarm but do not stop the fire. We have learned that warm water, strategic food choices, slow breathing, and 2 upright hours after dinner can transform the tone of your mornings forever. And we have learned that the body responds to calm, to rhythm, to kindness, and to the steady hand of a person who has decided today to be the leader of their own health. You do not need to implement all 4 steps perfectly tomorrow. You only need to begin. Begin with the warm water. Tomorrow morning, let that be your first act of leadership. Then over the next few days, add the breathing. Then, over the next 2 weeks, remove the heavy foods. And tonight, after dinner, stay upright. Pay attention to how your throat feels in the morning. Notice the difference. Trust that difference. And if this blueprint spoke to something in you, if you felt seen, if you felt a quiet relief settle into your chest, then I would invite you to subscribe and join the thousands of seniors who have made this community a part of their weekly rhythm. We publish these blueprints every week, designed by specialists, written for you, and crafted to keep you safe, clear, and home where you belong. Your body has been sending you a message. Today you answered, that is the first step of a long, dignified, and independent future.